Well, we're going to get the skinny on fiber today. I think a lot of people are still confused about fiber, where you get your fiber and the different kinds of fiber. So Shelly's going to clarify all of that for us and clear it all up. So what can we talk? Because there's three main fibers. So maybe we could take the viewers through each one and examples of and how you can use it.
Right. So there's actually two main fibers.
Okay.
And then there's sort of subclasses within those two main groups. So we're going to keep it very simple. So what I encourage people to do is, I'm not a huge fan of fiber supplements, because that is when you start to get into entirely soluble fiber or entirely insoluble fiber. Whole foods tend to be combinations of different types of fibers. So I encourage people, much like eating in general, variation and moderation. So flax seeds are a great example.
And everybody's, on that flax. Flax is good for us.
Absolutely.
It's got a lot of good things in it. But how do we eat it?
Whole flax is an example of an insoluble fiber. Once we grind it, it becomes soluble because we access all the other subtypes of fiber that are inside that seed. So ground flax seeds are a good example of sort of a blend of fibers. So if we want to start looking at primarily things like insoluble fibers are used more for gut health, more for constipation, and they tend to be found in things like whole grains. So things like brown rice, barley, and your whole grain types of breads. The other place that we find insoluble fibers is in fiber-rich vegetables. So things like celery and broccoli.
Okay, so this type of fiber you would want to put more in your diet if what?
So if you're constipated, this is typically, insoluble fiber is the kind of fiber that speeds up how quickly things go through your bowel.
Okay, so it'll help with that stuff.
It'll help speed things through.
All right, Now when we look at legumes and some of our fruits, what are we talking here now?
So these are soluble fibers. So the role of soluble fibers is they're soluble, so they soak up water and they almost create like a sponge through your GI tract. So they tend to be really good for cleaning up things like cholesterol. So they help to lower cholesterol. They make you feel full longer. So they are sort of what's responsible for satiation and making it easier to lose weight, feel full longer.
Okay, which makes sense because you quite often hear too much fruit isn't the greatest because of the sugars, but an apple is really good for you because of the fiber that it gives you,
that's in it.
And it tends to be a little lower in sugar than some of the other fruits.
That's right. So under the same sort of assumption of soluble fibers sort of absorbing water, they do tend to slow down blood sugar, how quickly the blood sugar is released into your system.
Yeah, which is really important too, because that you want to sort of keep that even all day long.
That's right.
You don't want these spikes up and down, and then it's better for your body overall.
That's right.
And then on the end here, what are some of these options? So we did talk about PGX the last time you were in, as a possibility of incorporating into your diet.
So this is considered a viscous fiber. So this is sort of a subclass of a soluble fiber. Viscous fibers also create, they soak up water, but they create almost like a gel in your gut. So your body has to digest through this viscous fiber before it can access any sugar. So this has been sort of one of the subclasses of a soluble fiber that's received a lot of attention because of its role in weight loss. As all things related to weight loss
Yeah,
get
that's
a lot
right.
of attention.
We're all striving for that, right?
Yeah, so really, really great for blood sugar control, because that is the key ultimately with weight loss, is controlling blood sugar.
But with this too, it's not like you take this before you eat a fast food meal and you're going to be okay. Like this is to this is to help overall process the stuff going through our system when you're eating a well-balanced diet.
Right, so this ultimately lowers the glycemic index of your food.
All right.
Doesn't do much for fat.
So to break it down, we've got the first one is insoluble, soluble, and then variations is the viscous fibers.
Right.
All right, because that's what had me confused. Like what do you mean by viscous fibers? So it's a great way to take a look at it and understanding how each one of these can affect us differently and why they're good for us. So we should be including all of this into our diet?
That's right, and that's why it's important to get your fiber through whole foods as opposed to supplementing. Because, like I say, there is very rarely ever a whole food that's entirely insoluble or soluble. That happens when we start to modify foods.
Excellent. You said you were going to make it simple for us to understand, Shelly, and
Easy
you did.
peasy.
So thank you so much for that. Always a pleasure having you coming
Linda.
in. All right, for more information, head up to Full Circle Healthcare. Check them out. Really great up there, and they have all kinds of workshops to help you as well. 131 Upper Centennial Parkway, fullcirclehealthcare.ca. You can also follow them on Twitter.